Welcome back to Think Fast, Write Fast. Today I have a NaNoWriMo tip for you. This is something you're going to need to know eventually anyway. Many writers aren't even aware of the BISAC system before they start writing. They just jump in and start writing words. If you are self-publishing, you will be asked three things when you upload right off the bat. You'll be asked the title of your book, a description of what it's about, and your BISAC code. You need to know what it is. A BISAC code was created by the Book Industry Study Group. It's abbreviated BISG, and they do have a website, bisg.org. And you would do yourself a favor by going there and getting familiar with the subject codes. Again, that's bisg.org. A quick definition here, I've highlighted it, and you may read along. BISAC systems can be used individually or together to help determine where the work is shelved in a brick-and-mortar store, or the genre's order which it can be searched for in an online database. That means Amazon, Books A Million. It also means your library database. The code helps you get in as precisely as possible. So let's take a look at what the BISAC is. There are more than 24 BISAC top-level categories, but only 3 of those are fiction. There is the general fiction category, which I have highlighted in blue. In orange, we have juvenile fiction, and then in yellow, we have young adult. Juvenile is what we think of as children's books. Young adult is, I believe, junior high on up. So we only have 3 categories that are even fiction. Something to keep in mind here, if you're ever going to write nonfiction, there are a gazillion different categories. Also, if you are writing comic or graphic novels, that is not considered under fiction. It has its own separate category. There are more than 160 subcategories. And for each of these categories, there is a code. And the way the codes read, these are just fiction. You'll see there's a code here, and you'll say fiction. Let's say we're going to write sea stories. There is a numeric code that corresponds to sea stories. Odd as it may seem. Apparently, there have been a lot of sea stories written. And you'll see just a little snippet of some of the other categories that you have to choose from. There's also one called space opera. Did you know that there's actually a separate special category just for space opera science fiction? Yes, there is. And it has its own BISAC code. So these are the categories, in other words, and then these are the codes. So you choose the BISAC code or category yourself. Especially if you're going to be self-publishing. You are responsible for choosing that. If all you do is choose nonfiction and you don't go any deeper within the subcategories, you are going to be competing for your market share against every fiction book that has ever been written. You don't want to do that. You want to narrow the field so that you find the people who are looking more specifically for what you are writing about. It increases the chances of reaching your intended audience. And it helps you keep focused on that audience. So what do you do with it? You will be asked to enter it into the print-on-demand site. This is CreateSpace, and you'll be asked the title of your book and the author, a description, and the next thing you're asked is you are asked for that BISAC code. And there is a link there if you wanted to learn some more about it, but basically what you need to know is exactly what your code is, and you'll have to enter it in eventually. But I recommend looking for it up front because that way it will keep you focused. So if you know that you're writing only sea shanties, for instance, you know that that's going to be fiction and you know what the code is. In another video, I showed you how to open the document properties in Microsoft Word, and so you can just pop this in there and keep it always at the forefront of your mind. So, NaNoWriMo tip, identify your BISAC category as soon as you start writing or before you start writing, and focus on it as you write. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Always think fast, write fast.